Hello everyone, welcome to BAKUL Talks. Now I know that many of you might be joining us for the first time, and those of you who are joining us would probably not know about BAKUL. So let me first tell you what is the BAKUL in BAKUL Talks. Well, many people call it an organization, an NGO that works for society, but I see it not just as an NGO, but as an idea. And many of us, not just me, many of us associated with BAKUL think of it as an idea. It's an idea of what can happen when people like us get together. And BAKUL Talks is just a demonstration of that idea. You'll get to know about that very shortly. So when we talk about, when I talk about this idea of what happens when people get together, it's basically an attempt to demonstrate the power of volunteerism, of small little contributions of many individuals. So we started BAKUL by mobilizing people to contribute books to set up the BAKUL library in Satyanagar. This is where I'm sitting right now. All these books that you see behind me, more than 20,000 books in this library, every single one has been donated. Not only that, now we have more than 25 libraries, of course, of different sizes. Some in schools, some in villages, some in cities, and all set up entirely through book contributions and people volunteering and other people making small contributions. So that's the idea behind BAKUL. We do other things as well, run environmental campaigns, like promote gifting of plants, do a lot of public art. Those of you from Bhubaneswar, a lot of public art on the flyovers of the city we have done. Now at the libraries, particularly the library where I am, the Satyanagar Public Library of BAKUL, we used to have a lot of events also, like author meets, book launches, experts coming and speaking about ideas. But of course, when COVID happened, when this lockdown started, all the libraries closed. All our activities, BAKUL was a beautiful place where, it was a very dynamic space where every day new people used to come. And that is just the space which became risky in such a scenario. So when the library is closed, our activities closed, then we kind of reinvented ourselves and went digital. So in August, we started our first regular digital engagement, which is Storytime at 9, in which every Saturday, and it continues now, it will continue for a year, every Saturday at 9 p.m. on our social media handles, on BAKUL social media handles, on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Some of you are obviously seeing this on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. People, the best storytellers in the world, they come online, they come live and tell stories from their country and introduce their country and its culture. So this happens every Saturday. Then we started Robbie Bar Gopabar, in which every Sunday, one of the finest storytellers in Oriya tells stories. But then these were all, of course, stories are for everyone, but they seem to target more the younger children. And we have been very keen to start a series for adolescents, for young adults and youth in particular, and adults in the general public. And one of the things that we always had in mind that we wanted to do was a series of public lectures that are independent of any disciplinary background that you have. Public lectures that are of interest to everyone. Okay. For example, I'll tell you, my father was an anthropologist. He passed away earlier this year. He heard the word anthropology, the subject of anthropology, for the first time at the age of 16 when he was a student of Ravencha College. And that is when he knew that was his calling. He had to be an anthropologist. Just one lecture did that. And a lecture which he heard at the age of 16. And anthropology was not taught in Odisha at that time. And he went to Calcutta to study that. But we would want, nowadays, of course, earlier at that point in time, all the bright students used to go to Ravencha. But now, people have their different interests and inclinations. Many go for engineering, many for medical, some law, some for humanities. All people have different interests. But then the idea behind BAKUL Talks and these kind of public lectures is that it should be of interest to each one of us. In fact, any curious individual, topics of common interest to any curious individual. You have to be curious, of course. I mean, if you're not curious, then Bakul Talks is not for you. Curious to learn, curious to know new things, curious to open up your mind to new kinds of ideas, new vistas of learning. So if you are interested, if you are curious, then Bakul Talks is for you. At the same time, our aspiration is that Bakul Talks will be, of course, on topics of common interest to any curious individual. At the same time, it must be, and that is our target, it must be intelligible and interesting to teenagers. We realize that there may be a lot of public lectures happening, but they may not be as interesting to or designed towards, stimulating the minds of teenagers. But that is what is our focus, something that we definitely aim at. But not only will these talks be interesting and intelligible to teenagers, the idea is that these talks will be insightful to intellectuals as well. So it is not just that you are giving something only for teenagers. So these will obviously be talks by experts on, as I said, on topics of common interest to any curious individual, intelligible and interesting to teenagers, but at the same time insightful to intellectuals. Wow, that's so many ins, almost 5-6 ins. But let me tell you, the in thing was just incidental. Oh, another in again. Okay, so that's the idea behind Bakul Talks. And we had been thinking about what series to begin with, because everything that we're starting now, like Storytime, Rabibar, Gapubar, they're all regular series. Okay, and with Bakul Talks also, it will be a regular activity, though, this is the age of OTT platforms and, web series. So it'll be like a first season, second season. And the first season, I'm very happy to tell you, we already had a curtain raiser, of course, where Professor Pranay Swine talked about, trivia from the history of the Nobel Prizes. So some of you already probably know that the first season of Bakul Talks, the first series that we are featuring in Bakul Talks, is on the Nobel Prize winning works of 2020. We all know that the Nobel Prizes are the pinnacle of glory. It's like the Olympics of intellectual contribution. Not just intellectual contribution, because the Nobel Prizes are given for the greatest benefit to mankind. The Nobel Prizes may be given to a person for the disciplines of physics or chemistry or medicine. But as Alfred Nobel put it in his will, it is for a work or a body of work which has constituted the greatest benefit to mankind. So obviously the works of the Nobel Prize winners have all impacted us, impacted our lives. But how much do we really know about these Nobel Prize winning works? Is it that we don't want to know? I'll tell my personal case and the case of many of our volunteers that I talk to. Most of us were curious to know what really have they done. How has it changed the world? But we kind of often think that it is beyond the reach of our comprehension. I mean, I'm a student of literature. Will I really be able to understand what the guy in physics did, or economics did, or chemistry did? Peace, maybe we all understand to some extent. But then many people would be wondering, why is the World Food Program given the Nobel Prize for Peace? How has food to do with peace? I mean, I can understand someone is working, like the Red Cross working for peace. Okay, but how is working on food contributing to peace? Now, so what we are going to do, and this is something that we'll now make it an annual affair, that we are having the best of experts. And let me tell you, when I tell you the names, you'll realize that, we may be based in a library in Bhubaneswar, but the lineup is as good as any that we can think of in the country. Okay. And these speakers we have been able to get thanks to the story of people coming together, the story of Bakul that I talked about, the goodwill that we have been able to. So there are so many well-wishers of Bakul that they have helped us get this wonderful lineup for all of you. A dream team, I would say. And so the team includes, we start on 27th October. In fact, Bakul Talks is going to be live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. on our Facebook platform, on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Instagram. So those of you, who are listening to this, please follow our page on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube so that you get the updates about the Nobel series of talks, as well as anything else that we are able to come up with. So we are beginning on 27th October with the Peace Prize, with a discussion. So each day we will discuss one of the prizes, and the Peace Prize, who would be the best person to speak about it? Of course, someone from the World Food Program. And guess what? We have the country director himself, who will be live on our platform on Tuesday, 27th October, Mr. Bishaw Parajuli. He will be there to speak about the work of the World Food Program in India, in Orissa, and why it won the Nobel Prize. Okay, and along with him, we will have Mr. Ambika Nanda, who has been an old well-wisher of Bakul, who is currently the CSR head in Orissa for Tata Steel. He was earlier in charge of UNDP in Orissa. So Ambika Nanda will also speak about the Nobel Prize for Peace in general. So that is on 27th. We follow that up with a discussion on the Nobel Prize for Physics by Professor L.P. Singh, one of the most eminent cosmologists of India. And you know that this year, the prize for physics has gone for works in cosmology, on the black hole and cosmology. The next, so that will be following Tuesday. That will be followed by a discussion on the economics prize, the Nobel Prize for Economics. And this year, the prize was given for the work in auction theory. And we have an expert on auction theory, Professor Jeevan Rampal from IIM Ahmedabad. He will be speaking to us on the Nobel Prize in Economics. And he will be followed the following Tuesday by Professor Jyotirmay Dash. Many of you might have heard her name. Professor Jyotirmay Dash has been in the news recently for having been awarded the Bhatnagar Award. Now, the Bhatnagar Award is the highest award the government of India gives for contributions in science. And she got it for chemistry. So she will be talking about the Nobel Prize in chemistry. No, we have, following her, we have a discussion on the Nobel Prize for literature, which went to the famous poet Louis Gluck. And we have one of the finest poets in India, Ranjit Hoskote. You can check him out on YouTube or just Google him. Ranjit Hoskote will be speaking about Louis Gluck and why she got the Nobel Prize for literature. And the last but not the least will be the Nobel Prize for medicine. And we have one of the finest persons again, Dr. Sujata Kara, who is a very famous gynecologist, obstetrician, and the director of Kar Hospital. And she will be speaking about the Nobel Prize in medicine. So as you see, I find this lineup too good to be true. But that is what the Bakul story is all about also. It's a story that may seem too good to be true, but that's a story of what can happen when people get together. And so looking forward to all of us, all of you joining us, the rest of us, every single Tuesday from now, from 27 to 1st December in Bakul Talks at 7 p.m. on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. See you there. Thank you very much.